Welcome to the Deep Dive, where your shortcut to being genuinely well-informed. Our mission really is to cut through all the noise, distill complex info into those aha moments, and get you to actionable insights faster. Today's material, well, it might seem a little unexpected when you first look at it. It's basically a stack of practice questions for a professional exam. But trust us, we think you'll find it's absolutely packed with, universal wisdom that applies way beyond just test prep. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, what's truly fascinating here is how these questions, which seem so specific, right, for a certification exam, they actually they illuminate really fundamental principles. We're talking strategic management, risk, organizational structure, finance, even IT project planning. Our source today, it's excerpts from the Certified Internal Auditor, CIA-Part3 exam, practice questions and explanations, specifically from the IIA. But look, our goal isn't about passing the test. It's about going beyond just the right answer to get at the underlying principles. We want to extract those broader insights for you, insights that are, frankly, incredibly relevant, whether you're leading a team, looking at a business, or just trying to make, better decisions day to day.
That's a perfect way to frame it. So let's jump right into our first concept then, performance measurement. Our first question for the source asks, what is the primary benefit of using a balanced scorecard in performance measurement? The options mention things like focusing only on money or getting rid of management judgment. But what's the real takeaway here? What's the deeper understanding?
Well, the core insight, the real power of the balanced scorecard, is its ability to align business activities with organizational strategy. What makes it so transformative is it kind of shatters that old idea of just looking at financial success alone. Traditional metrics, they often obsess over the bottom line, right? But the balanced scorecard, it forces leaders to see all the interconnected levers of success. It translates that big picture vision into actual measurable objectives across 4 key areas. So yes, financial, but also customer satisfaction, internal processes, and importantly, the learning and growth of the organization itself.
Ah, okay. So it's not just numbers in isolation.
Exactly. And make sure that every single day-to-day activity, every measure is actually pulling in the same strategic direction. It can often reveal things like maybe cutting costs over here is actually starving another crucial area, which could lead to problems down the road. It's just a really powerful framework for, well, truly holistic strategic execution.
So it's about seeing the whole ecosystem, not just like isolated numbers. That makes total sense. Okay, so from aligning our strategy, let's talk about protecting the journey. Because, what's the point of a grand vision if you can't safeguard the information that fuels it? Our next question gets into information security. Which of the following is the best example of a detective control in information security? Now, when you think security, you might first picture, firewalls, maybe biometric stuff, which were some of the options. But the true detective here works a bit differently, doesn't it?
It does, exactly. The insight here is thinking about controls in layers. You've got preventative controls. Those are your locks on the door. But detective controls, they're more like your alarm system, your security cameras. They work on the assumption that, look, no defense is perfect. So detective controls are specifically designed to identify and report errors or irregularities after they've already happened. That allows for a quick response. And the best example from the options provided is an intrusion detection system, an IDS.
An IDS, right.
Yeah. Unlike a firewall, which tries to block threats before they get in, an IDS watches what's happening on the network or system. It looks for suspicious activity, maybe malicious actions or policy violations, and then it flags it, alerts the administrators. Its real power is enabling that rapid response, but also continuous improvement because it shows you how and where your initial defenses might have been breached.
That makes sense.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, understanding this difference between preventative and detective controls, it's not just for IT security geeks. It's actually a really critical way to think about managing any kind of risk in any area.
That's a crucial distinction, yeah, for true resilience. Okay, so we've got defenses in place. How do we then structure our teams to actually, implement these ideas efficiently? Our next insight takes us right inside the design of an organization. The source asks this question. In a flat organizational structure, what is a common characteristic?
Right. And the characteristic that really defines a flat organization compared to a traditional hierarchy is that communication is often more direct and informal. Flat organizations manage this because they have significantly fewer layers of management. which in turn usually means managers have a broader span of control, more people reporting directly to them.
Okay, fewer layers.
Exactly. So this structure just inherently cuts down the number of steps a message has to go through.
Right.
It really encourages more direct back and forth between employees and leadership. And the positive outcomes are, well, pretty clear usually. Faster decision-making, often more collaboration, and it can really boost agility because information just flows more freely.
That directness definitely sounds efficient. It reminds me of this startup I knew once. They went flat almost overnight. And communication did speed up, no question. But suddenly their weekly meetings ballooned to like 3 hours because everyone felt they had to weigh in on everything. So it highlights that it's a balance, right?
Oh, absolutely. There are trade-offs with any structure. Finding the right fit is key.
Okay, so once you've maybe structured your team for more direct communication, how do you measure if all that efficiency is actually, translating into tangible success? Which brings us nicely to the financial heartbeat of an organization. Our next question from the material is, which of the following financial metrics best reflects an organization's profitability before interest and taxes?
And the metric you're looking for there is operating profit, sometimes called operating income. Its significance is, well, it's immense, really, because it shows you the profit a company makes solely from its core business operations. It's crucial that it's calculated before you take out financial costs like interest payments and taxes. And it also specifically excludes any non-operating income or expenses like, say, selling off an old building. So what you get is this really clear, unclouded picture of how efficiently the company is actually performing its main function. It makes it a super valuable indicator for assessing that core operational health.
That sounds like a really clean way to see how the actual business is doing, cutting through some of the financial engineering noise, maybe?
Precisely. It focuses on the core engine of the business.
Okay, great. Finally, let's wrap up our deep dive with something absolutely crucial for any new endeavor: project planning. The last question from our source material asks, what is the purpose of a feasibility study in the early stage of a system development lifecycle, SDLC? And the SDLC, that's basically the roadmap for building any new system, right?
That's right. And the purpose of that feasibility study, right at the beginning, is to determine whether the project is practical and cost-effective. Simple as that, really. In those early stages of any big project, not just IT systems, a feasibility study evaluates a few key things. Is this technically possible? Is it financially viable? And is it operationally reasonable for us to do this? It's essentially about doing your homework, your due diligence up front. Yeah, it helps the stakeholders, the decision makers, make that critical go-no-go decision. It does that by thoroughly looking at the potential costs, the resources needed, the risks involved, and of course, the expected benefits. It raises an interesting question, doesn't it? How many projects, personal or professional, could be saved from, well, failure or just massive headaches by applying that kind of rigor, that feasibility check, right at the start?
That's a fantastic point. It's
Yeah.
all about that discipline planning up front. Maybe consider how applying the principles of something like that balanced scorecard could help you evaluate your own personal goals. Are you only measuring, say, career or financial success? Or are you also looking at your personal growth, maybe your relationships, your health and well-being, giving them weight too? Or perhaps think about how even a simple, informal feasibility study could save you time and energy on your next big personal project. Could be anything: renovating a room, starting a new side hustle, even planning a big trip. Lots to think about. Until next time, keep digging for those insights.